just incredible people so far, but I know this guy is one of the reasons that a lot of people came out here tonight. They always make the old guy wait. He's going to have to wait a little bit. I got to introduce him to some of the people who don't know him. The guy in the hat and the suit with the bow tie, I guess you could say, King William, riding his bike all over the area, Southtown, King William. He has been in King William since 1972, when the neighborhood was not, say, what it was right now. But back then, his landlord asked if he would buy the house he was renting, and he accepted, and then word got around that a number of neighbors asked if he would be interested in taking their property in this horrible neighborhood off their hands. So over the years, he accumulated a number of properties. He has rented to a lot of creative types, artists, architects, and other tenants in the creative community. And maybe best known or remembered in some ways as the owner of the compound at Sala Diaz. Please welcome the legendary Mike Casey!
Among my favorite former tenants is Vicky Ui.
You're going to have to...
Yeah. Okay, what do I hit? Let's get started.
I think that one.
That,
Okay.
It was the summer of '72. I was looking to move closer to my first office in the Tower Life building. On King William Street, most of the old mansions have been divided into 10 or more apartments with the porches enclosed. Over on South Alamo, I found a payphone to call the number on a rent sign nailed to the column of a somewhat shabby two-story house. Upon entering, I was smitten by 12-foot ceilings and a columns in the entryway, although plywood was nailed to the back to divide the house into a duplex. The rent was $95. I remembered an interview of Georgia O'Keeffe in which she was asked how she wound up in New Mexico. "This is where I was supposed to be," she said. My friends were appalled. Most people try to move up in life. I soon moved into a bungalow across the fence. My new landlord was the niece of the original owners. I met her husband when he was watering the yard. He said, "Come look." The rent was $95. After a year, he said, "Why don't you buy the place?" It was my first house, and it was there for 7 years. This house next door had 3 apartments upstairs that rented for $25 a month each to go-go dancers and their children. The owner, a lawyer who got the house as a fee, was anxious to get rid of it. I've taken off the additions and enclosures. Amy Austin and Chad Dawkins from our case and their adorable son Wolfgang live upstairs now. This is the house that I first rented. In '77, I called my first landlord and told him when visiting his tenant I could see the sky when I looked up at the back of the entryway. He said if I wanted to fix it, I could buy it and fix it myself. In '80, Rick Casey suggested I move back into the house and finish it and rent 111 to him. I've been at 1212 ever since. Flashback to '72, the visionary Walter Mathis had just restored 401 King William. I was walking back to my office when he stepped out and asked, "What are you doing here?" Because I had a suit on. In '77, I bought this house at 225 King William, just in case one day I wanted to live on Mr. Mathis's side of Alamo. It had been divided into 5 apartments and came with a tenant who rollerbladed around the neighborhood in the early mornings in a chamois loincloth. When he moved, it took 2 coats of Kills to cover the smoke stains from his lawn. This is the warrant to close the original friendly spot. Jerry Goldstein and Jay Mundy rented an old gas station at the corner of Beauregard and Alamo that had been Macias's friendly spot until one unfriendly night they carried out Mr. Macias in a box. It became the center of King William's social life. In '85, Bernard Lifshitz and Hap Beltman bought the complex where we are tonight. In '86, a group of local contemporary artists had lobbied Santa for a show. It was agreed upon, put together, and canceled. The complex owners devoted this space. James Lifshitz still hasn't gotten around to collecting rent. In '85, a friend's dad asked me to talk to an older colleague who was worn out being a landlord of 4 duplexes at Spearman and South St. Mary's. He offered the financing, although I didn't didn't think I could handle any more projects, I gave in. I woke up when I realized the deal came with 8 adversarial tenants. Next door was a vacant house at 1135 South St. Mary's, surrounded by a 6-foot chain link fence with concertina wire on top. The lot was 50 feet wide and 214 feet deep all along the back of the duplexes. I worried about what might happen, and the elderly lady was eager to get rid of it. Ann Wallace was doing chainsaw sculpture in San Ignacio, which had a small art colony. When Ann visited San Antonio, I tried to get her to move here. When I bought 1135, I said, I found your place. It had a bean station on one side and a deaf-mute couple living next door. As the additional tenants moved in from the duplexes, I would get calls mostly from young artists and others in the creative community looking for an affordable space. The tenants bonded and started calling the place the compound. Because of my respect for architects, especially Isaac Maxwell, a pal who died in '99, I resolved the duplex at 1141 South St. Mary's for architectural students and young architects. Billy Lambert and Celeste Wackenhut live there now. Billy oversees the landscaping. Around '93, Franco Mendini moved into 517 Steering and recalls that it was there that he was reborn as an artist. He had one show while there and then moved over to South Floors into the 2-story building that had a sign on its wall, Botanica Infinito. That became a true installation. Chet Ramirez lived upstairs. In '95, Alejandro Diaz moved into 517 Steering and asked me if he could move his bed into the kitchen and use the living room and bedroom as an art gallery, which he called Sala Diaz. Chuck Ramirez moved next door. Openings became happenings that drifted into the common backyard. The Art Pace Foundation will showcase Alejandro soon in a show. We were all distraught when Alejandro said he was moving to New York to continue his art career and attend Bard College, but were relieved when Hill Snyder, who was later selected as an Art Pace resident, stepped up to take over. He deserves credit for developing Sala Diaz into an internationally respected forum for contemporary art. James Smollett did this show at Sala Diaz. Other shows have been Judith Cottrell, who had a seesaw through a hole in the wall, Ray Colbert, who dug a tunnel so that visitors had to enter the gallery from underneath through a hole in the bathroom. In 2007, Sala Diaz was incorporated as a nonprofit 501c3 corporation. On November the 6th, 2010, our beloved Chuck Ramirez died in a bicycle mishap. His family generously donated the contents of his magical apartment to Sala Diaz, where we've established Casa Chuck, an invitational 1-month residency for critics, curators, and writers. In 2015, Hills will be stepping down and turning the directorship of Sala Diaz over to Anjali Gupta, who's been writing Casa Chuck. I have great expectations for what Sala Diaz and Casa Chuck can become, and have signed a deed over to them so they can continue long after I'm gone.
I really have time to take a picture while the applause goes on. Okay, just a couple of embarrassing personal questions for you. Now, first of all, did you think in '72 that where we are right now would be anything like it is? Did you have a vision? Did you have any gut?
Oh, we had no idea. It could have done.
But you wanted to be a part of something to start, or was it just for you that you wanted that house and to be around?
It was infatuation. I fell in love with that house. And just said, now this is where I belong.
In the whole area.
Yeah, I mean, I love history. I love architecture.
But yeah, why did you get so involved in helping so many people do what they do, the creative community that you mentioned? Why is that part of you?
Well, I just...
That's a dumb question. No, just a good answer. And now people might wonder in your other part of your life, when you're not riding a bike, being terribly creative here, what do you do aside from all of that?
Well, when Vicki asked me if I would do a presentation, I would I said, well, how about making agarita jelly?
That'll be next.
I do that.
And now, what do you see as somebody who's been here over the years, how this area has changed and where it's going? Where do you see down the road, 5, 10 years? Because you're obviously thinking about it.
Well, what I think about is I think about the east side. And I think about going down further south. And I see the development's going to be moving there. When you look at what King William was in '72, it's worse than what the east side is now. So let's be looking at that because something can happen there.
Do you have any properties over there?
I don't need another house.
And anything else that you haven't, what do you always ask that you just want to tell people, okay, enough about that, this is the answer. Your hat and your bow tie and your shoes. How long have you been, so hip?
I don't know, but if you notice the first photo, I was wearing this same vest.
But what happened to the porn mustache?
What happened to the hair?
Oh. Thank you very much.